Good afternoon, everyone. Now, good afternoon. All right. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So it is audible to everyone, right? Okay. Okay. Good. 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 So this week we are again there on Saturday. So let's begin today's current affairs class, right? So those of you who attended my last Saturday's class, I told you that from Monday onwards, we started with our current affairs weekly sessions. And these weekly sessions were organized in such a manner that you were supposed to be benefited from these weekly sessions by extensive coverage, which was not taking place. Because in our previous current affairs classes, we were just covering 3 or 4 topics in 1 week. But with the new system that we have set in place, you are now getting almost 3 topics per day, and that too from different subjects. So this way your coverage has certainly gone up, right? So today this class is going to be in continuation with the Monday to Friday sessions. All right. So we are constantly improvising this particular session so that we end up making these weekly current affairs classes one-stop solution for all the current affairs related to examination, so that you don't have to trouble yourself with much of this uncertain component of the civil services preparation that we call as current affairs, right? So let's proceed with our Saturday current affairs class. All right. And certainly these topics will not be the repetition of the topics which have already taken place, right? So we are going to begin new topics today, right? Hold on. All right. So we are going to begin the class today, and the topics that we are going to cover, they are different from Monday to Friday sessions. All right, because we don't have to go with repetitions. They were covered very much in comprehensive detail. All right, so let me give you a little bit of revision what you have learned so far in this particular week from the current affairs sessions that were organized at 2:30 p.m. All right, so on Monday 2:30 p.m. you had your first component, and that was your polity and governance, which was taken by Piyush sir, and Piyush sir has covered the topics related to the office of the governor, and that were like comprehensive coverage. All right, current affairs, along with linking that current affairs with the static portion. After that, he covered the second topic, that is the ICGS scheme that deal with the criminal justice system. All right. Third, he talked about the tribunal reforms, and all the polity and governance related to these topics were discussed in detail. So that was the topics that were covered on Monday this particular week, all the topics from polity and governance segment. Today, after that, on Tuesday, we have our economic current affairs, all right, weekly economic current affairs session. In economic current affairs session, Anurag sir has taken the topics related to the reforms in the indirect tax regime. All right, he has explained you very much in detail about the GST and all other indirect taxes that were supposed to be discussed as part of that current affairs. After that, he also discussed the TRIPS waiver and all the related issues that were there in current affairs. And he also discussed about the additive manufacturing policy, which is about the 3D printing. Yes, am I right? Yeah. So these were the topics that were covered by Anurag sir on Tuesday related to your economic current affairs. After that, next comes Wednesday. Madhusudan Reddy sir, he came and he took your geography, environment, and science and tech current affairs, weekly current affairs, and he covered the very crucial topic of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 6th assessment report, which is very important from your prelims as well as mains examination point of view, and he covered it in quite good detail. After that, he also covered the wet bulb temperature, the very critical current affair from where you can get a question, because this is a very eye-catchy current affair, wet bulb temperatures. All right, and then he also talked about the carbon capture techniques in his current affairs on Wednesday. On Thursday, Snigdha ma'am has talked to you people about the Ukraine-Russia turmoil, which was a kind of review from what we have done in the previous Saturday's class, but it's perfectly fine to again revisit the topic. And very important thing that Snigdha ma'am has actually used the graphs and maps in a very beautiful fashion, and I'm sure that it must have helped you tremendously to actually grasp the geopolitical issues surrounding the Black Sea and this region of Africa, Ukraine and Russia. All right, then she also talked to you about another important current affairs related to the Permanent Indus Commission, which is a commission that is based on Indus Water Treaty, right? Then she also talked to you about a home leader, Lachit Borphukan. All right, so because Snigdha ma'am takes the issues related to international relations and all the historical events that were past in news, but now again cropping up. So she has covered these topics in her YouTube sessions, 2:30 p.m. on Thursday. All right, now on Friday, Drashti ma'am, she came up and she took your sessions related to Indian society and security issues, where she discussed in detail about the recent Manipur issue that is in news. Apart from that, she also discussed the Northeastern Indian Region Developmental Initiative started by the government of India, that is PM Divine scheme. And she also discussed about Metis and the tribal status to Metis. So all in all, I would say that approximately 15 topics have already been covered from this particular week's, not this week, I mean the last week's current affairs. And these 15 topics have been handpicked, all right, by the people who are experts in their domain. And these are the most probable questions from where you can expect the questions in your prelims examination as well as mains examination. So what we used to do till last week was that we used to cover 3 topics in the current affairs class, but this time, before this day, we already have 15 topics in our bag, which is going to tremendously help you. Is it clear, everyone, right? So those of you who have attended these topics, you must be completely confident about these topics and the related static portion associated to these topics, right? Now, today, we are going to proceed further. And before we begin, right, thank you, Deepak. Yeah, all right. So that's what I told you in the previous sessions also, that we are planning something big, right, for you people, so that more and more coverage can be, adjusted in your 2:30 p.m. slot. Okay, that's great. So today in this session, I'm going to build upon 3 more topics and complete this week today with total 18 topics in our bag. The 3 topics that we are going to talk today, the first topic I'm going to talk about is the Sid B study on MSMEs in India. All right, Small Industries Development Bank of India study on the micro, small and medium enterprises. So we are going to discuss in detail what is the study that SIDBI has carried out on MSMEs and also all the related issues, right? This initiative, Harleen, is going to continue, all right? That's what I'm telling you, that if this week we provided you 80%, we'll try to make it 90 the next week by making constant improvisations, and you are going to witness these improvisations in the coming sessions, all right? So hold on. So we are also going to talk about all the static portion that is related to SIDBI and MSME. Like, for example, what is SIDBI, what is MSME, what is the importance of MSME, what are the challenges? So it is not just one small news that why it is in news. I'm not going to just talk about the news. Rather, I intend to give you the entire, all the nitty-gritties associated to this particular current affairs. Then last week, there was a news that was related to the National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1, which has been revealed by the Ministry of Power. So we are also going to discuss in detail this policy Part 1 that was there in news. After that, we are going to talk about something really very interesting thing, and that is non-fungible tokens. And these are the new technological interventions which have a direct implication in our day-to-day life. So while covering these topics, I will also tell you the motivation behind these topics. Why did I choose these topics, right? So every faculty, the 15 topics which have been taken by the various faculties in this particular week, these topics were picked by the faculty because there is a motivation behind those topics. And those motivations are directly related to your preparation. They are directly related to the examination that you are going to face on your exam day. All right, so let us begin our first topic. The first topic that we are going to discuss today, it is the SIDBI studies on MSMEs. All right, and this study is corresponding to the COVID-19 period. All right, so this study is primarily dealing with the COVID-19 period's impact on the micro, small, and medium enterprises in India. What I'm trying to, so what you can do, one thing is, sit back, relaxed, try to understand the concept, because whatever I'm going to give you on the board will be sent to you in the form of a PDF. All right. So that is really going to benefit you. You can make some notes. If there's some additional thing that I'm writing, you can certainly make the notes. I'm not discouraging that, but then try to grasp the topic then and there itself, because you will be given the PDF of this particular session as well. The whatever I'm going to display, the same PDF will be given to you. All right, so let's proceed with the first topic, and that is Small Industries Development Bank of India studies on MSME, that is micro, small, and medium enterprises in India. Let me tell you the context of this current affair. Recently, Sid B has released a paper document about a study that Sid B carried out for 1,029 enterprises in India for the period that is the financial year 2021. And this study has made certain important revelations about the micro, small, and medium enterprises, particularly during this financial period. And you know that this financial period is directly correlated with the COVID-19 period in India. All right, so we are going to see the impact of the COVID-19. We are not actually going to see the realistic impact. We are going to extrapolate, because this Sid B study is extrapolating the impact on the MSME sector based on the observation of 1,029 enterprises. What is extrapolation? Extrapolation is nothing but when you have a limited set and you identify a trend in that set, you extend that trend to the or the larger group. That is known as extrapolation. So there are around 6 crore MSMEs in India. However, you cannot go for studying the 6 crore MSMEs. So what the Sid B has done, they tried to create an ensemble. They tried to create a representative data set of those 6 crore MSMEs and got a 1,029 MSMEs reflecting the larger 6 crore MSME picture. So whatever trends you are going to witness in 1,029 enterprises is going to reflect almost similar trends in the 6 crore MSME enterprises that are operating in India. This fashion of creating a representative data set and extending its finding upon the larger data set or the true reality or empirical reality, that is known as extrapolation. So what Sid B has done, Sid B has studied 1,029 enterprises for the financial year 2021 and extrapolated its findings upon all the 6 crore MSME sector. All right. Now, what is Sid B? Let us first talk about what is Sid B. Sid B stands for Small Industries Development Bank of India. It is the Small Industries Development Bank of India. That is, it is a bank which aims at providing finances and other inputs for promoting, financing, and developing the small scale industries. Now, what are the small scale industries? The word small in Sid B is representative of not very large industries, but those industries which in India have a special identity, and that identity is known as MSME. So MSME stands for micro, small, medium enterprises. There's a different criteria for micro. There's a different criteria for small. There's a different criteria for medium enterprises or companies. Now, what is that criteria? We are coming to it. But right now, you can understand that in India, the small industries, which are not big corporates, those small industries are clubbed together in a group known as MSMEs. And what the Sid B is doing, Sid B is promoting, financing, and developing these MSME sector companies. Now, this Sid B, it is a statutory body which was created by an act of parliament, and that act of parliament was passed on 2nd April 1990. 2 April 1990, 2nd April 1990, through an act of the parliament, one institution was created, that was Small Industries Development Bank of India. This institute became the primary institution which is dealing with the MSME sector or a small industry sector for their promotion, financing and development. This is Sid B. Now, in this particular current affair, with respect to your prelims, what is more important is the date on which it was created if you are targeting lower level exams. But if you are targeting UPSC, then UPSC will ask you whether SIDBI is a statutory body or not. Yes, it's a statutory body because it has been created by a statute. It is a statutory body because it has been created by an act of parliament. Is this point clear to everyone? Right? Shall we go ahead? Okay, cool. Now, before even we go and discuss what was found out by the Sid B study about the MSME sector in India, let us look into what are the micro, small and medium enterprises. Now, these are the enterprises in India which do not have a, you can say, the turnover of more than 250 crore, or which do not have an investment into plant and machinery up to 50 crore rupees. Any industry in India which does not go for a turnover of more than 250 crores, and any industry in India which does not have any investment in its plants and machinery. All right, plants and machinery, फैक्ट्री और फैक्ट्री की मशीन सेटअप करने में अगर 50 करोड़ से कम की लागत लग रही है, उस इंडस्ट्री को भारत में बोला जाता है स्मॉल, माइक्रो एंड मीडियम इंडस्ट्री सेगमेंट. ऑलराइट, उसमें भी 3 आगे डिवीजन है. देयर आर फर्दर 3 डिविजन्स इन इट. There is a micro industry, there is a small industry, and then there is a medium industry. But this entire sector has an upper limit that no industry in the MSME sector has turnover of more than 250 crores, or it does not have investment in plant and machinery up to 50 crore. If any of this is breached, if there's an industry which has a turnover of more than 250 crore rupees, then it is not an MSME. Or if there is an industry which has an investment in plant and machinery more than 50 crore, then it is not MSME, right? So this is the, you can say this is the division that separate the MSME from the large industries. Okay? So MSMEs are the group of small industries which are capped by a turnover of 250 crore rupees or an investment in plant and machinery of 50 crore. Anything above that is large industry. Anything below that will be either micro, small or medium enterprise. Now, MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises in India, they have been made, you can say, the bandwagon of Atmanirbhar Bharat. All right, they have been made the bandwagon, or they have been made the institutions on which the government is relying for ensuring the Atmanirbhar Bharat success. So MSMEs, they are the bandwagons. They are the bandwagons of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Why they are the bandwagons of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that we are certainly going to discuss in the next few slides. But the MSMEs, when they were made the bandwagon of Atmanirbhar Bharat, their definition was changed in the year July 1, 2020. There was a different definition, or there was a different classification of the micro, small and medium enterprises before July 1, 2020, which is now redundant. You don't have to look into it. But after July 1, 2020, the classification regimen has changed for MSMEs. Right? So MSMEs, when this class of industries which was created under the MSME Act of 2006, there was a different definition of MSME which has been changed now, and right now we are going to look into the criteria of classifying the industries into micro, into small and medium enterprises. My dear friends, you must try to appreciate the fact here that these industries need not necessarily be the manufacturing, processing or production industries. These industries can be manufacturing as well as services. So this classification, all right, this classification is for both manufacturing plus services sector. Earlier there was a segregation. All right, so let me tell you why I'm saying that. Before this classification that was taken up on July 1, 2020, there was a different classification regime for manufacturing and there was a different classification regime for services sector. Now the government has clubbed them together, and any industry, irrespective of it is manufacturing or services, if it fulfills one of the criteria, it will be appropriately placed under micro, small and medium. And if the industry is beyond this, that will be classified as large industry. So let us look into what industries will be known as micro, what will be known as small, and what will be known as medium. So there are two parameters that have been taken into consideration by the government to classify them. The first is known as the investment in the plant and machinery, and second is known as the annual turnover. All right. So this classification, all right, this classification is based on two indicators. The first indicator is investment in the plant and machinery. All right, let me tell you one very tricky thing here, which UPSC might ask for a prelims point of view. This plant and machinery does not include land, doesn't include land price. Remember that. Land prices are not included. All right, there is no inclusion of the land prices in investment. There is no inclusion of land prices in plant and machinery. Plant and machinery simply means the money that you have used for setting up the factory, plant, and bringing the machines. And the second indicator that is there, that is annual turnover. Annual turnover. Based on these two parameters, you classify the industries in India as micro, small, medium, and large enterprises. So if a particular company, all right, if a particular company has an investment in the plant and machinery or equipment not more than 1 crore, as well as has a turnover of not more than 5 crore, that industry or that enterprise will be known as micro. अगर किसी भी इंडस्ट्री को सेटअप करने के लिए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के अंदर 1 करोड़ से कम लागत लगी है, 1 करोड़ या 1 करोड़ से कम लागत लगी है, या उसका सालाना टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ से कम है, या 5 करोड़ या 5 करोड़ से कम है, वो एंटरप्राइज माइक्रो एंटरप्राइज कहलाएगी. क्लियर? If there is an industry whose setup, infrastructure, plant machinery cost more than 1 crore but less than 10 crores, and it has an annual turnover of less than 50 crore rupees, that industry will be classified as the small industries. All right. And if there is an industry whose setup infrastructure requires 50 crore rupees, at most 50 crore rupees investment, at the same time it has an annual turnover of more than 250 crore rupees, sorry, less than or equal to 250 crore rupees, it will be referred to as the medium industries. If any of the criteria goes beyond this limit, it will be classified as large industry. So what is the rationale for not including land prices under the classification, as land is one of the major factors of production? That's a very good question, Deepak. The rationale for not including the land prices, because the land has a differential rate in different parts of the country, right? So if you are going to take into consideration the land concept, then medium industries in Rajasthan will be equivalent to large industries in Maharashtra. That means that the benefit to medium industries will accrue to industries in Rajasthan, but that benefit will not accrue to the industries in Maharashtra. Are you getting my point? Machinery and factory setup almost has the same price everywhere in the country. So you are doing this, all right, you are not including the land prices, because land prices will bring an element of variability which you do not want to bring in. You want to treat all the industries in India which are under the grab of the MSMEs to be equal. Is it clear? Because land prices are differential, right? फिर वो differential treatment आ जाएगा. Then how will you justify कि कौन सी industry कहाँ पे micro और कहाँ पे medium है, कहाँ पे small है, right? Okay, good. So this is the classification regime that has been there about what are the MSMEs, and this classification regime has been there since July 1, 2020, when the government declared the MSMEs as the bandwagon of India's economic growth as well as Atmanirbhar Bharat. Is this slide clear to everyone? Can we move ahead? All right, great. Fine. Now, what are the findings of this Sid B report about the MSME sector in India? This report has pointed out some of the various disturbing trends about the MSME sector in India. For example, the first thing that the report has pointed out, that because of COVID-19, there is a decline in the revenue of the MSME industries. It has been pointed out that out of the 1029 industries that were assessed by the Sid B, 66% of the industries have reported a decline in the revenue as well as the profitability of the industry. So 66% industries. All right, if we extrapolate the finding of the Sid B to entire MSME sector, 66% MSMEs in India, they have reported a decline in the revenue as well as the profitability. What is the difference between revenue and profit? Revenue is the amount of incoming money that your company received, which also include the outgoing money. So revenue is the total business that your company has done. The total business your company has done, that is known as revenue. After that, you have to remove the cost from the revenue. The money that will be left is known as profit. So the revenues have gone down as well as the profitability of MSMEs have gone down. How many? At least 66%. Then not only that, out of the 1029 MSMEs from different parts of the country that Sid B has assessed, from the different sectors that Sid B has assessed, 50% of those industries were those which had a decline in the revenue to the tune of 25%. At least half of the, MSMEs, they have reported a decline of revenue to the tune of 25%. मतलब उनका business 1/4 shrink हो गया. If they were earning 10 CR revenue, they have reduced their revenue to 7.5 CR, 2.5 crore का घाटा. All right, this has been reported in the Sid B report. Then if your profit has gone down, if your revenue has gone down, and if you have same cost which you were accruing earlier, this is going to result into increase in the loans that will be borrowed by the MSMEs. And this is very much true with the finding of the Sid B report. The Sid B report has simultaneously found out that the loan that the MSMEs have taken, even they have gone up. Now, these loans have been taken by the Sid B under the Government of India's support mechanism for COVID-19. All right. So these loans borrowed by MSMEs have increased. और यहाँ पे आप ये लिख सकते हैं that most loans were taken as part of Government of India's support to MSMEs during COVID-19. All right. So most of the loans that were taken, they were taken as part of the scheme or the initiative that the Government of India launched to support the MSMEs during COVID-19. And it has been pointed out that 65% of the MSMEs, they have taken the benefit of ECLGS, which is the emergency credit line guarantee scheme that was launched by the government to support the MSMEs during the time of COVID-19. I'm going to explain you this thing in a little more time. Don't worry. All right. And 36% of the MSMEs have taken the loan under the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust, CGFT. All right. Now, you don't have to remember these figures. I am just telling you that almost two-thirds of the MSMEs, they have taken the loan under the scheme that the government of India launched for the COVID-19 period for the MSME protection and promotion. And 36% of the MSMEs, they have gone for even taking the loan from the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust, which has been created to promote the MSME in India. Let's forget about all this. What take-home point you should take from this information, that not just the revenue and profitability of the MSME has come down, but also the loan burden upon the MSME has gone up. Why? Because of the decline in the revenue as well as profitability. So that simply alludes to the fact that the MSMEs in India, they are under a tremendous financial stress. So this has been pointed out that the MSME sector in India is right now under a tremendous financial stress by the Sid B report on MSMEs. Let us go ahead and let me explain you what is this emergency credit line guarantee scheme that was there in our previous slide. If you look at the previous slide, I'm telling you that two-thirds of the MSMEs, they have taken the benefit of the scheme that the government of India launched during the COVID-19 to protect and promote the interest of MSMEs. So let us now discuss what is this emergency credit line guarantee scheme. All right. Now, you know that जैसे ही COVID-19 आया था, right? As soon as COVID-19 came, and we witnessed that yes, this COVID-19 has a tremendous you can say potential to undermine the small, micro and medium enterprises in India. So what did the government do? The government started a 20 lakh crore comprehensive package. Ministry of Finance, it came out and it said that we are giving to the people of India 20 lakh crore comprehensive package to absorb the stress that has been put forth by you can say COVID-19 in India. Now, as part of this 20 lakh crore comprehensive package, the Ministry of Finance has allotted certain money that must be given to the MSMEs. Now, as part of this money, the micro, small and medium enterprises, they could take up the loan initially till 31st March 2021, but recently it has been extended to March 2023 because the MSMEs, they have not been able to come out of the shock of, you can say, economic distress caused by the COVID-19. So government of India has extended the ECLGS scheme from March 2021 to March 23. Under this scheme, the MSMEs could take the loan from the government of India, MSMEs can take the loan from the banks, and those loans will be guaranteed by the government of India. You can give these loans to the MSMEs. We are the guarantor for those loans. The government of India is telling the banks that we are the guarantor for those loans, because the banks were also under the suspicion, should we give loans to the MSME during this economic distress or not? If the profitability has come down, if the revenue has come down, and if there is no credit available to the MSMEs, then my dear friends, the question is very simple to be asked: how does the MSME survive? And for the MSMEs to survive, you will require the credit input, and that credit input can only come from the banks. Even the banks are suspicious during this period कि हमारा जो पैसा क्या वो वापस आएगा. So to make the banks confident, the government provided guarantee to the loans taken by the MSMEs till 31st March 2021, which has been extended to March 2023. These loans that were taken by the MSMEs, they were taken for a period of 48 months, जिसमें पहले 12 महीने MSMEs को कोई इंटरेस्ट और कोई प्रिंसिपल नहीं चुकाना. They were given a grace period of 12 months to make that money invest and get returns, accumulate those returns, and in the remaining 36 months, you can pay back the interest and the principal. and the government is the guarantor of such loans. This was a very important impetus that was required to make the MSME sector sustain during this economic distress, because, my dear friends, MSME sector is really very important part of Indian economy, and this I'm going to prove to you in the upcoming few slides. Sir, has the revenue been continuously declining, or only this year it declined? See, there is nothing like a steady decline. Some industries show profit sometimes they show a slump. But in general, MSMEs in India, they have not been highly very productive, but then they are having some socio-economic dimension associated to it, which I'm going to explain you in a few minutes. All right. But this year, not this year, financial year 2021, which collided with the COVID-19 situation. All right. Yeah, it is mixture, Yaman. All right. So the COVID-19 situation वाला जो period है उसमें तो profitability, production, everything came down. So the loan was imperatively to be taken, and the banks were also not considerate of giving the loans, because they also feared whether the money that they will go to MSME, will it come back? So the government gave the guarantee, and then the banks were readily extending loans. All right. So the banks were readily extending loans to the MSMEs. MSME is not a bank. MSME is a group of industries, or MSME take the loans from the banks. All right. SN13. That means that the loans that were given to the MSMEs, they had the statutory guarantee that the government was the guarantor of such loans, and they were readily given the loans so that they could survive the pandemic period. All right. Now the government has issued the guarantee on the loans worth 2.88 lakh crore by the end of 2021. That means a significant amount of money has been taken as loan by the MSMEs in our country. So this is the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which was launched by the government of India to help survive the MSME sector, the downturn which has been introduced by COVID-19 in India. Is everything clear till this point? Is it clear? All right, great. Now let's move ahead. Okay. Now, let me tell you why there's so much of hue and cry as why we should protect the MSME sector in India. What is the importance of MSME sector? What is the significance of MSME sector in India? Well, like the large industries, which are primarily driving the growth in India, the MSME sector does not only have the growth dimension, but the MSME sector also has attached to it the developmental dimension. That is, when the production is linked to the socio-economic dimension, it is developmental, and when it is purely economic, it is growth oriented. So let me tell you a very drastic picture in India. The large corporates, the large companies, the large enterprises, they are primarily driving India's growth. All right, they are just producing large scale amount of products in India. So they are just driving the GDP growth. However, the MSMEs, they have a social dimension associated to it. So I can say that MSMEs, they are very important because the MSMEs are major contributor to the socio-economic development of India. How I can say that? You can say that by the fact that they account for 30% of the GDP, 40% of all the exports in the country, they are from the MSME sector, and they employ in India 11 crore people, or 110 million people. All right, approximately 110 million people, they are employed by the MSMEs, which is a very, very large chunk of India's labor force. They are 30% of India's GDP, and they are 40% of the total export basket. That simply means that MSMEs, they are very, very important for the socio-economic development of the country. So the first significance or the benefit of MSME is that they are the socio-economic developmental drivers of Indian economy as well as Indian society. Second very interesting and a very, very important benefit associated to the MSME is that 50% of the MSMEs. All right, जितनी भी MSMEs हैं उसमें आधी MSMEs, 50% of the MSMEs, they are based in the rural areas. All right, they are based, more than 50% of the MSMEs, they are based in the rural areas of the country. My dear friends, yesterday in my sociology optional batch, I was telling to the students that in India, there is a agricultural distress that is there in the rural community. The rural community is under a tremendous amount of distress. Why? Because India switched from agricultural economy directly to the service economy. Indian manufacturing sector did not mature, and we jumped from the agriculture directly to the service sector, bypassing the secondary sector of manufacturing. And manufacturing industry is very important because manufacturing is labor intensive. Agriculture has a limited labor intensity that is there. If you go in for pumping more and more labor in agriculture, the productivity is not going to increase. It is going to stagnate. That means there is a law of diminishing returns associated to agriculture. After a certain point of time, the more employment in agriculture is going to decrease the marginal utility of the labor. That means after some time, excess labor will be a kind of unemployed in agriculture, which is known as disguised unemployment. All right. So India was supposed to expand its manufacturing industry so that excess labor could be displaced from the rural to the industrial areas. But in India, industrial maturization did not take place, or industrial expansion did not take place, and we directly switched to the service industry, and service industry is also not labor intensive. So what is the status in rural India? The rural India is inflicted with high level of poverty. There is disguised unemployment in agriculture. Because of all these reasons, the rural India is fuming with distress, which is known as rural agrarian distress in the society. Now, if I say to you that the 50% of the MSMEs, they are in the rural areas, then what it means? It means that in the rural areas, MSME is reducing the rural distress as well as the problem of disguised unemployment. Those of you who do not know what is disguised unemployment, it simply means that when people are employed, but they are not doing any work, that is a kind of disguised unemployment. So think about a scenario that there is a piece of land. All right, let's say there is a piece of land, and to cultivate this piece of land, you need 4 people, but instead you have 8 people. That means there is a 4 people who are there who are not to be used anywhere. So these 4 people are unemployed, but they think they are employed. Are you getting my point? In reality, these 4 people, extra 4 people are unemployed. But if you ask them, they say we are working on this piece of land. But this is disguised unemployment. Is it clear, everyone? So not only it is the instrument of socio-economic development of the country, MSMEs are also helping in removing rural poverty, solving the problem of rural agrarian distress, because 50% of the MSMEs are based in the rural areas of the country. Let us talk about another aspect. MSMEs, they have got a tremendous push from the government. And this tremendous push from the government has made entrepreneurship a very much possible dream for the Indian people. All right. Today, if you have a product idea, today, if you have a product niche for you, you can take help of the Government of India's promotional schemes for MSMEs, and you can start your own enterprise. So the MSME sector has given a very significant push to entrepreneurship in the country. And most important, if you can showcase to the government that your product has a relevance for the rural area as well, you will get good amount of funding at low interest rate from the government, and you can be the employment generator rather than being just an employee. All right. So MSMEs have given a tremendous push to innovation and entrepreneurship in our country. Next important, or the fourth benefit of, or the fourth significance of the MSME is that MSME is a tool of gender empowerment or gender equality. All right, so MSMEs are playing a very important role in empowerment of the women. How I can say that? Just look at the statistics that is given below. 20% of India's 6 crore MSMEs are led by women. Nowhere you see this much women participation. भारत के 6 करोड़ MSMEs में से 20% जो हैं, all right, 1.2 crore MSMEs, they are led by women. Now, in terms of employment, out of the 110 people that MSMEs provide employment to, 26 million are women. More than 20% of the labor force in MSME is women. Yes, you can take this point to show that the women is still not getting equality in the MSME sector, but my dear friends, there is no denying in the fact that MSMEs have provided entrepreneurship activities, opportunities to women, and not only the entrepreneurship opportunities to women, MSMEs has also played a very, very important role in providing employment to the women. That is 26 million out of 110 total employees of the MSMEs are women. And out of the 6 crore MSMEs, 1.2 crore MSMEs are led by the women. So this shows that yes, without any doubt, MSMEs are also playing a role in empowerment of the women as well as bringing gender equality in India. Is this point clear to all? Right? Okay. Now let's proceed a little ahead. MSMEs, they are also playing a very important role in making inclusive growth in India, or the balanced development in India, a quite possibility. Let me tell you why. You see, in India, there is a rural-urban divide. The urban area is developed with a lot of job opportunities, and the rural area is backward with very few job opportunities. So there is a rural-urban divide. So when the MSMEs are coming up in the rural area, this rural-urban divide in terms of job opportunities is shrinking, and the rural area is becoming at par with the urban area in terms of job opportunities. Not only that, my dear friends, the government of India has also come out with the schemes which promote MSMEs in the rural areas, and not just the rural areas, they promote the MSMEs in the most backward regions of the country. When the MSMEs are coming in the most backward regions of the country, then my dear friends, no doubt these MSMEs will bring economic growth in the backward regions of the country, and this regional disparity that is there, some areas are highly economically advanced and some areas are very much backward. This disparity between the regions will be taken care of, and this is quite visible from the fact that MSME ministry has a very strong emphasis upon the backward regions of the country. For example, the aspirational districts. The government of India has certain schemes which are exclusively targeting the MSMEs to be opened in the aspirational districts. Now, I am sure that many of you do not know what are aspirational districts. So I'll take the liberty over here to explain you what are aspirational districts. Aspirational district program was launched in the year 2018 by the Prime Minister of India on behest of the Niti Aayog. You know that Niti Aayog is today's planning, collaborating and coordinating agency, which is aiming at transforming the India. It is acting as a think tank, replacing the erstwhile Planning Commission. So Niti Aayog was set up on 1st January 2015. Niti Aayog in 2018 launched the aspirational district program and identified 117 most backward districts in India. These 117 most backward districts of the country, they are known as aspirational districts. Now, the Niti Aayog has introduced a approach which is known as the 3C approach, and the 3C approach of the Niti Aayog aims at bringing development in the aspirational districts. What are the 3 C's? The first C, my dear friends, is the convergence. Second is the collaboration, and third is the competition. Convergence of all the central and state sector schemes. होता क्या था कि पहले, all right, so what was happening? There are government of state schemes, there are government of India schemes. They are aiming the same thing in the district. Now there is overlap, there is confusion, and then there is inaction. Nobody knew whether this was the responsibility of the state or the union to take care of, because both the agencies have their respective schemes for the same topic. So it was resulting into wastage of resources, it was resulting into inaction, and ultimately wastage of resources was the biggest concern. So what the Niti Aayog said, that all the schemes of the union, all the schemes of the state in these aspirational districts which target the same subject matter, they will be converged together, which will increase the efficiency, effectiveness, and economy of such schemes. So through the first C, that is convergence, all the schemes related to different aspects of the center and the state will be converged together to bring efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. The second C is collaboration. The second C, collaboration, stands for coordinating and collaborated work of the central government officials, the state level Prabhari officers, and the district collectors. The district collectors of these aspirational districts, they will work in conjunction with the state's senior IAS officers who were declared as the Prabhari officers. So DCs and Prabhari officers will work within the states and they will collaborate with the central government officers for development of these aspirational districts. And this C has been called by Niti Aayog as collaboration. And the third C is competition. Now you prepare a list of all the aspirational districts and identify their socio-economic conditions, and then make an index out of the aspirational districts कि भैया कौन first आया, कौन second आया. And you know that race instills a competitive spirit, enthusiasm among the people. अब suppose करिए कि you are the district collector which came last in the index of socio-economic development of the aspirational district. You will be looked down by all other, such that next time you will make efforts to win the competition, right? So they are playing with the basic nature of the human being, that we all want to be the winners. So the three C's are the convergence, collaboration, and competition through which the government of India through Niti Aayog want to transform 117 most backward districts of the country. This program is known as the Aspirational District Program. And my dear friends, UPSC has asked a question in the 2018 mains examination about Aspirational District Program. UPSC has already asked that what was the approach that the government of India has taken in the Aspirational District Program. So you had to discuss about the 3C approach of the government of India's program for development of these 117 most backward districts known as aspirational districts. Is this point clear to everyone? Is this program clear, right? Okay, fantastic. Let us go ahead now. So I told you that MSME is the agent of bringing inclusive and regionally diverse economic development in the country, such that every region of the country must be benefited, including the MSME, including the MSMEs in aspirational districts. So now, to develop the aspirational districts and to bring economic growth in the aspirational districts, the government of India has made certain schemes exclusively for promotion of the MSMEs in the aspirational district program. So the MSME ministry has implemented the schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program, all right, PMEGP, Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program. MSMEs are integrated with PMEGP in aspirational districts for bringing economic growth in aspirational districts. The MSME ministry has implemented Spurti schemes in the aspirational districts. Spurti stands for Scheme of Funds for Regeneration of Traditional Industries. Similarly, Aspire scheme has been integrated with MSMEs for bringing economic development in aspirational districts. A scheme for promoting innovation, rural industry, and entrepreneurship. Similarly, CGFS, CL, CSS, and NSSH. These are the name of some of the schemes. All right, this is just for the reference. All right. So what I wanted to tell you is that the government of India has made a tremendous amount of effort to integrate the MSMEs with the various schemes in the aspirational district so that entrepreneurship and innovation and industrialization can penetrate into the aspirational districts, which are otherwise the most backward regions of the country. All right. So why aspirational district program started? See, aspirational district program started. It's okay, your net got disconnected. I'll just tell you in one line. Aspirational district program started to develop 117 most backward districts of India. 600 or some districts are there. उन 600 कुछ districts में से 117 जो सबसे backward districts हैं उनके development के लिए the program that was launched is known as aspirational district program. So there is no doubt about that why MSMEs in India are referred to as the growth engine of the nation. They are truly the growth engine of the nation. They are truly the engine of the growth which is bringing regional parity in terms of economic development. Is it clear to all, right? Gopi, I just cross-checked. Initially, when it was started, it was 112 districts. Abhi shayad 117 districts. All right. Figure is, I found somewhere 115, somewhere 112. But whatever recent I have checked, there are 117. All right. So there's a lot of figures associated to the number of districts, but you can take 117 to be the base. Okay? Let's go ahead now. Let us see what are the challenges that are faced by micro, small, and medium enterprises. My dear friends, the people who are opening the micro, small, and medium enterprises, they are not from very, very high entrepreneurial or bourgeois families. Those people are random common mango people of this banana republic. You can start a micro, small, and medium enterprise, right? I can start that, but Ambani's son is not going to start an MSME. He is going to target the large industry, right? So the thing is, because MSME is an industry by the common man of India, you require a lot of paperwork. And for that paperwork, you have to go to the government officials and they make you go and play office. So this office playing is known as red tapeism. They put you so much into bureaucratic trouble that you give up the idea of even opening your MSME, right? So the government of India's the first challenge that is faced by the MSME in India is red tapeism. All right, bureaucratic hurdles. So red tapeism is same as bureaucratic hurdles. Now the thing is, second problem is associated with the first problem. It is the common man who is opening the industries. Now the banks, when they give you the credit, the bank want to see whether you have the capability to give back the loan or not. But if you are not an Ambani, Birla, Tata, why would the bank extend loan to you? So the banks have a lot of problem giving you the credit for opening the MSME. All right. So inaccessibility of the credit, inaccessibility of the loan for opening the MSME is the second biggest challenge that is faced by MSME. All right. And this is the scenario even when the banks have been informed by the government that funding to the MSME is part of their priority sector lending. Usha Thorat committee recommended the government to identify certain areas which must be considered as priority sector to which the banks should give priority lending. But even after MSME has been put under the PSL, the MSME sector is not getting the funding from the banks and there's a reluctancy on the part of the banks. So this is the second challenge. The third challenge is that these industries are not getting quick availability of raw material. So these industries, they have unavailability of the raw materials. These industries, because they are sometimes in the backward areas of the country, they do not have ready market available with them. There are quality issues because these are started by the people with low investment, and low investment cannot give you a very high quality product. So quality issues. Then the people who are employed in these industries, they are not skilled. All right. They lack infrastructure, they lack skilled manpower. And lastly, they are still working in very, very obsolete technology. So they have backward technology, poor technology, obsolete technology. They do not have the skilled manpower. They do not have adequate infrastructure. They have quality issues because of poor investment, as well as they do not have accessibility to the market, and they do not have ready availability of raw materials, reluctance of the banks to support them, and the bureaucratic hurdle or red tapeism. They are the responsible reasons for the underdevelopment of the MSME sector in India. Is it clear to all? Okay. Okay, great. एक बार YouTube पे भी देख लें कुछ क्या चल रहा है. Okay, bypassing manufacturing sector. I mean, Asma, bypassing manufacturing means that you have actually did not develop the manufacturing sector. You have switched from the agriculture based economy to service sector based economy. From primary to tertiary, you did not develop the manufacturing. That is the secondary. Okay. All right, let's come back and let's go ahead now. After the challenges faced by MSMEs, let us look into what are the various you can say the government of India's efforts to promote the micro, small and medium enterprises. The first thing that the government has done is to extend formal support to the MSME sector. The government has included MSMEs into the formal sector by including the MSMEs with the various portals that have been created by the government, such as Udyam portal, eShram portal, NCS portal and ASEEM portal. The benefits of Udyam, eShram, NCS and ASEEM portal has been extended to the MSME sector by incorporating the MSME sector within the fold of information and communication technology. By maintaining these kind of portals, you create a database of the skilled manpower, and based on that database of skilled manpower, the MSMEs can take help of the skilled manpower and increase their quality, production, efficiency, economy, effectiveness, right? So what the government has done? The government has tried to stretch the formal sector skilled manpower to the MSMEs by bringing the MSMEs within the fold of information and communication technology portals, which were launched by the government, such as Udyam, eShram, NCS, as well as ASEEM portal. So the government of India has tried to provide skilled manpower and formal structure to the MSMEs by incorporating them in different portals. Then the government has started a RAMP program. The RAMP program stands for Raising and Accelerating MSME Performance. All right. So the second effort by the government is the RAMP program, and RAMP program stands for Raising and Accelerating MSME Performance. Under the RAMP program, the government has put up a budgetary support of rupees 6,000 crore for next 5 years to develop the MSME sector. The government has started a champions portal to improve the quality of the production from the MSME sector, as well as to help the MSME sector target export such that the MSME sector becomes the part of the big league that includes top national and top international corporations. Through the champions portal, you are trying to make the MSMEs more export oriented by improving their quality such that they start combating or competing with the companies which are already there in the big league, such as the national and the international big names. You have also started the MSME Samadhan, which is a one-stop solution to all the problems that are there in the MSME sector, which the MSMEs can come and discuss with the government and get their grievance redressed at the earliest possible time. So the government has tried to formalize them. The government has extended the budgetary support to provide for their promotion, development and protection. The government has tried to improve their quality and export orientation, as well as the government has tried to provide one-stop solution for the grievance redressal related to micro, small and medium enterprises. All right. Now, what are the suggestions that can be given to improve the micro, small and medium enterprises in India? So first of all, what has been identified is that this sector in India, it does not have an independent regulator. The Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, the ministry forms the schemes, implements the schemes, and itself evaluates the schemes. It regulates, it manages, and it deals with all the aspects of MSME, which is not the correct thing. Why? Because if one single agency is doing all the activities, it results into conflict of interest. So we need an independent regulator which will regulate the MSME sector in India, which is missing right now. So we need an independent regulator which is going to provide a fair play or the equal playing level field to all the MSMEs in the country. So we need an independent regulator, which is right now missing. Bhai Yash, every MSME want to become a large industry someday. All right. And they have to take the benefit of the government. Okay. It's not that, see, if I am an owner of MSME, it's not I will not like to go for becoming a large industry because the government is already giving me a lot of benefits. It's a negative way to look at the things. Try to look at this way, that today you are Yash, but don't you think that tomorrow you want to be there in the club of Ambanis and Adanis? Certainly. So let's look at the positive side. Let's not say that because the government of India is already giving you a lot of benefits, you will not try to become the large industry. You will try to become the large industry because you are an economic creature who like to expand his or her business. Okay. So let's now come back to the second suggestion. The second suggestion is that MSMEs right now depend heavily upon the banks for their financial need. So the second suggestion is that you must try to provide. All right. That's right. So the second suggestion is that you must try to provide access to the MSMEs to the capital debt market by establishing the small to medium enterprises bonds. मतलब इसका कहने का मतलब क्या है? Allow the MSMEs to raise money from the public by issuing bonds to them. The government can do this. The government can go for giving bonds to the people, in turn take money from the people, give that money to the MSME, take interest from the MSME and give a part of that interest to the public. Right now, who is giving money to the MSME? The banks. And the banks are reluctant. So there is a shortage of capital for the MSME. So how you can go ahead with doing away with the shortage of capital? The government should make itself the agent of financing the MSMEs. Kaise? Government take 1 lakh from you, give you a bond that after 5 years I will give you 1,10,000. All right, give that 1 lakh rupee to the MSME and tell the MSME that after 5 years you will have to give me 1,15,000. So now MSME after 5 years give you 1,15,000. Out of that 1,15,000, you give back 1,10,000 to the person from where you have taken 1 lakh rupee. So it's a win-win situation for all. The person from where you have taken the money, he has earned the interest, the government has earned the rupee, and the MSME has got the finance which it was earlier not getting from the bank. So this is what the second point is trying to say, that you must try to provide the MSME access to the capital market. And what kind of capital market? The market from where you raise money through debt by issuing bonds. So access the MSMEs to the capital debt market by issuing small to medium enterprises bonds. It's a very, very important point. And in one of the suggestions regarding improvement of the MSME sector in India, you have to provide this point for sure. Is this clear to all? All right. Then you must try to improve the technological capacity of the MSMEs in India. The technological capacity of MSME in India right now is very poor, that they are still working on obsolete technologies. Baba Adam ke zamane ki technology use kar rahe hain. So what you should do, you should try to infuse these MSMEs with the latest know-how. Try to bring artificial intelligence integration in Indian MSMEs. Try to make them data driven. try to introduce robotics and internet 4.0 or the latest applications of internet in these industries, so that these industries quality, efficiency, economy, effectiveness, reach, and all overall profitability can take a big leap jump, right? And lastly, the government should invest in the back-end services, such as eliminating the bureaucratic hurdle, eliminating the shortage of funds, provisioning of raw materials, provisioning of markets to these kind of industries if you really want to improve the performance of MSMEs. So these are the suggestions that you must provide for development of the MSME sector. All right. See, Yaman, by incorporating the robotics, you may reduce employment to some extent, but after robotics you are going to create 10 more avenues of employment. ठीक है, नई इंडस्ट्रीज क्रिएट होंगी, फॉरवर्ड बैकवर्ड लिंकेजेस डेवलप होंगे, जो रोबोटिक्स की वजह से बंदे डिस्प्लेस हुए थे वो दूसरी इंडस्ट्रीज में एब्जॉर्ब हो जाएंगे. सो इट्स अ विन विन सिचुएशन फॉर ऑल. ऑलराइट. See, second point, I'll explain you the second point once more. Right. अरे आकाश, कथनी करने का अंतर है. डीसी को बना दिया आपने एमएसएमई के प्रमोशन का पार्ट, लेकिन वो असल में तो पहले तो उसने कुछ काम नहीं किया ना. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? वो लकीर का फकीर. एक बात बता रहा हूं, कभी कोई गवर्नमेंट डॉक्यूमेंट इशू करवाने चले जाना, देख लेना रेक्टेपिज्म क्या है. एक गवर्नमेंट डॉक्यूमेंट में आपके पसीने आ जाते हैं. अगर आप एक इंडस्ट्री सेटअप करने जाते हो ना, भूल जाओ, आधे जने उसी में अपना ख्याल छोड़ देते हैं. तुम्हें क्या लगता है, तुम्हारा मास्टर तुम्हें पढ़ा और उसने कभी ब्यूरोक्रेट, उसने कभी एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने की कोशिश नहीं करी, लेकिन ब्यूरोक्रेटिक हर्डल की वजह से छोड़ दिया. मैंने पढ़ाना आसान है रेदर देन सेटिंग अप एन एंटरप्राइज. ऑलराइट. सो वो कथनी करने का अंतर है. रेड टेपिज्म इन इंडिया इज देयर फ्रॉम द स्मॉलेस्ट टू द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट ऑफ द थिंग. ऑलराइट, ठीक है. नाउ सेकंड पॉइंट एक बार फिर समझ लो. बेसिकली there is a shortage of funds for the MSME. Why? Because MSME right now depends upon banks for the money, and the bank do not readily give money to the MSME. So how you can finance the MSME? So one thing that the government can do is that government can issue SME bonds to the people for certain period of time, taking money from the people and giving them interest later on. So like for example, you are the person, I am the government, and somebody owns the MSME. I will take 1 lakh rupee from you, giving you a promise, after 5 years I'll return you 1,10,000. So you give me 1 lakh rupee, I give you the bond. Now out of that 1 lakh rupee, I give the 1 lakh rupee to the MSME, telling the MSME after 5 years you will have to return me 1,20,000. After 5 years, MSME gave me 1,20,000. I keep 10,000, I give you back 1,10,000 and take your loan bond from you and tear the bond, so that our business is settled. It's a win-win situation. You had money, you wanted investment, you did the investment with me. I earned 10,000 rupees by being a facilitator between the industry and you, and the industry got benefited because it was not receiving money from anywhere, but through me, industry has been able to take money from you. This is known as the capital debt market, which is right now not very much possible for the MSMEs to exploit, but the government can do so. All right, Shabnam. All right, okay, great. चलिए अब चलते हैं आगे और नेशनल हाइड्रोजन मिशन पॉलिसी पार्ट 1 के बारे में बात करेंगे. We are going to talk about all the aspects related to national hydrogen mission. We are not just going to talk about what was the part and parcel of this policy. We'll talk about what is green hydrogen, what is green ammonia, all right, what is national hydrogen mission, when it was launched, what are its objectives, और उन objectives में भी कोई चीज है जो आपको पता होनी चाहिए examination point of view से. We are also going to cover that as well. So let us proceed ahead. If we look at the context of this current affair, we are discussing this current affair because the Ministry of Power last week released a policy statement on National Hydrogen Mission. So the Ministry of Power released the part 1 of the National Hydrogen Mission policy, and for that reason it becomes very important for us to discuss the policy statement, which is referred to as National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1. Now, this policy Part 1, it deals with green hydrogen and green ammonia. That means that we are going to devote some part of our discussion on what is green hydrogen and what is green ammonia, besides what is National Hydrogen Mission. Okay. Now, what is National Hydrogen Mission and what are the objectives of National Hydrogen Mission? नेशनल हाइड्रोजन मिशन 2021 के यूनियन बजट में लॉन्च हुआ. The National Hydrogen Mission was launched in the Union Budget 2021, and it has a objective to produce 5 million tons of green hydrogen by the year 2030, such that India will transform itself to be a hub of green hydrogen. That is, India is going to be the global producer and exporter of green hydrogen, helping the global community to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. At the same time, it is also an important objective of National Hydrogen Mission to make India achieve its intended nationally determined contributions that India came out after the Paris Climate Deal of 2050. All right, so let me again summarize it entirely. The National Hydrogen Mission, it was proposed in the 2021 budget to make India a global hub for production and export of the green hydrogen by targeting a production of 5 million tons of green hydrogen by the year 2030. At the same time, we are aiming to achieve our INDCs, which we told to the global community by the National Hydrogen Mission. Now, many of you are not aware what is the INDC, so let me explain you what is INDC. INDC stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contribution. So there is this organization which came into existence after the 1992 Earth Summit. This organization is known as United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And this organization, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, it works to help the global community reduce the greenhouse gas emissions so that the climate change, which is going to cause the next mass extinction, could be prevented from taking place. Now, in its Conference of Parties 21, 2015 में, in 2015 in Paris, there was this group of parties to UNFCCC, which is known as the Conference of Parties, was organized, and over there the global community came into an agreement, and that agreement is known as Paris Agreement. Now, the Paris Agreement aimed to limit the global warming to 2 degrees Celsius. Preferably they are targeting 1.5 degrees Celsius. All right, so under the Paris Agreement, all the countries, out of 197 parties to UNFCCC, 191 parties signed that they are committed to prevent the global warming to rise beyond 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial revolution levels. But the thing is, they are targeting 1.5, but 1.5 is the priority target and 2 degree is the ultimate target. इससे ऊपर तो किसी भी हाल में नहीं जाना, but we have to make effort that we can limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So 197 countries who are party to the UNFCCC, 191 countries signed the Paris Agreement, and under the Paris Agreement, every country said that we are going to make some efforts to reduce the emission. Because every country is voluntarily contributing in eliminating climate change and preventing the greenhouse gas emission, these are known as intended nationally determined contribution. Nationally determined means every country has determined its own contributions. Intended means khud se, right? So India has also came out with its own INDCs. as part of the Paris Agreement, because India has agreed to the Paris Agreement. So what are India's INDCs? First of all, India has said that we are going to reduce the emission intensity by at least 33% by the year 2030. Emission intensity hai ye. I'm not talking about emission. There's a very, very big catch in this statement which UPSC can exploit in your prelims exam. We have agreed to reduce the emission intensity by 33%, not total emissions. What is emission intensity? Emission per unit GDP. अगर आप 1 लाख रुपए के प्रोडक्ट प्रोड्यूस करते हो और उसके ऊपर 100 ग्राम कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज होती है, तो अगली बार 1 लाख वैल्यू का प्रोडक्ट प्रोड्यूस करने में you should not emit more than 67% of carbon dioxide. Are you getting my point? If you produce goods worth 1 lakh rupee and you produce 100 gram carbon dioxide in production of goods worth 1 lakh. So what does it mean when we reduce the emission intensity by 33%? Next time you are going to produce 1 lakh rupee worth goods, the carbon dioxide emitted should not exceed 67 grams. All right. Per GDP, per unit GDP, carbon dioxide emission should come down by 33%. This is known as emission intensity. So the first intended nationally determined contribution is that India is going to reduce its emission intensity by 33%. The second INDC, this is 1990. This is 1990 है, जितना या 2005. ये एक बार मेरे को दीपक देखना पड़ेगा. That's a fairly good question. कि what is the reference year? I think it is either 1990 or it's 2005. This I'll have to see. I think it's 1990 if I'm not wrong. एक बार cross check कर लेना. Right. So the second INDC that India has came out is that we are going to generate 40% of India's total electricity from non-fossil fuel sources. We will not use coal, we will not use oil, we are not going to use natural gas for production of electricity. Why? Because for production of electricity from coal, natural gas as well as oil, we go for production of carbon dioxide. But if we produce electricity from hydropower plants, if we produce electricity from nuclear power plants, if we produce electricity from solar and wind energy, which our Prime Minister call as weed energy, so we are going to make zero carbon dioxide emission. At the same time, we are going to produce clean energy. So we are targeting that by 2030, we must be producing 40% of India's total energy from sources other than fossil fuels. That does not include coal, natural gas or oil. इन तीनों को हटा के बाकी सारे sources will give you clean energy, right? Nuclear energy is not clean per se because it is resulting into nuclear waste, but still it is not polluting through carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases. So this is the second INDC. The third INDC is that India is going to create carbon sink. Carbon sink is those areas that absorb carbon dioxide from the environment and capture it, right? So carbon sink is any such place, for example, forest, that take carbon dioxide from the environment and capture it in the form of green carbon. So we are going to create carbon sinks to the tune of 2.5 billion to 3 billion tons. 2030 तक हम carbon sinks बनाएंगे which will absorb 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide from the environment. So these three are India's INDCs. Now India is one of the most populous countries in the world. That is the second most populous countries of the world. And when we live our life, we go for production of a lot of carbon dioxide. For example, transportation, energy generation, whatever be the thing, we are using a lot of carbon dioxide. So now if we switch our energy from fossil fuel to some clean source, yes, to a very big extent we are going to reduce our carbon emission. We are going to reduce the carbon emission intensity. We are going to meet the first and the second INDC. And this is the very reason that in the very beginning I told you that the national mission on hydrogen is very, very important for India to achieve its INDC. So these were the three objectives of the national hydrogen mission that we had to discuss. Now we are going to talk about the significance, further significance of the national hydrogen missions. All right. So first and the foremost significance of national hydrogen mission is that national hydrogen mission is going to replace other sources of energy by clean source of energy, that is hydrogen. Why is hydrogen so much favored? All right. सी यमन इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल के भी नुकसान हैं, मैं उस पे भी आ रहा हूं, होल्ड करो, ठीक है। ये सिग्निफिकेंस में अभी आपको पता चल जाएगा। बैटरी ऑपरेटेड इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल से ज्यादा बेटर हैं हाइड्रोजन फ्यूल सेल ऑपरेटेड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल। वी आर कमिंग टू इट, ऑलराइट, होल्ड ऑन। सो national hydrogen mission, let's talk about the significance of national hydrogen mission. The first significance of national hydrogen mission is that this mission is going to provide us cleaner and better efficient fuel than the traditional petrol, diesel and all other fossil fuels. And that alternative clean efficient fuel is hydrogen. Why it is cleaner and efficient? Hydrogen produces water on combustion. You know that when you burn carbon based compounds, they give out carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas effect causing gas that increases global warming. But in case of usage of hydrogen, when you burn hydrogen, H plus O will give you H2O. So water is the product when you use hydrogen for production of energy. Therefore hydrogen is a cleaner fuel than your traditional carbon based fossil fuels. Not only that, hydrogen is 2 to 3 times more efficient than petrol. If you are producing 100 calories by burning 100 ml of petrol, you will be producing 200 to 300 calories by burning 100 ml of hydrogen. So hydrogen is 2 to 3 times more efficient than petrol. That means that if you are using hydrogen fuel cell for energy generation, you are producing almost zero carbon dioxide. So hydrogen fuel cell or hydrogen as a fuel has zero carbon footprint. Now, what is a hydrogen fuel cell? We'll discuss this in upcoming few slides. So I'll tell you what is a hydrogen fuel cell, but right now we have to be assured that national hydrogen mission is very important, because national hydrogen mission aims to provide us a cleaner and efficient alternative to fossil fuel, that is hydrogen, and it is cleaner because of these reasons and it is efficient because of these reasons. Is the first point clear to all? Is the first significance of national hydrogen mission clear to everyone? Okay, okay, good. Now the second benefit or the second significance is that hydrogen has a very, very high potential to be used in the transportation industry, and this transportation industry usage of hydrogen is going to revolutionize the carbon dioxide emission in the transport sector. If you look at the transport sector alone accounts for 1/3 of the total carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas emission in our society, in our environment. Out of all the greenhouse gases that are emitted, 1/3 of the greenhouse gases exclusively come from the transportation sector. And if you are going to provide hydrogen fuel cell based energy in the transport sector, it is going to reduce the emission of 1/3 amount of greenhouse gases. Apart from that, there is a big advantage of using hydrogen fuel cell than conventional batteries in the vehicle. What is that benefit? If you charge your conventional batteries, it takes 30 to 40 minutes to provide a decent amount of charging if you use fast charger in the vehicle. But it is seen that in case of hydrogen fuel cell, in 5 minutes, you can refuel the cell and use it again. So it is going to revolutionize this thing. Not only that, batteries have limited applicability in air travel, because in air travel, what is actually happening? There is compression that is there, and that compression is disastrous for the batteries. इसीलिए तो you are not allowed to carry the batteries in the luggage compartment or checked in luggage. All right, you can carry the batteries in your carry-on luggage, but you cannot carry the batteries in your checked in because they can burst there because of low compression. But there is no compression related problem in the hydrogen fuel cell. How you can say that? Hydrogen fuel cell is used in rocket launches. Am I right? So the benefit is that hydrogen fuel cell, unlike the conventional batteries, can even be used in shipping as well as air travel. So hydrogen fuel cell has a very high significant importance for transport sector, and this is targeted by the National Hydrogen Mission. Are these two significance clear to everyone? I hope they are clear. Great. Now another significance is that right now all the batteries that you are using, these batteries are manufactured out of the rare earth metals, and these rare earth metals, they are dominated by China, right? Let me tell you, like for this particular last November, when I visited the US, me and my wife, she was purchasing a car. We went to purchase the car and we were not able to find the cars. Why? Because there was no supply of the cars. So I inquired why there is no supply of the cars. So the person told me that China has stopped the supply of rare earth metals, and because China does not provide rare earth metals, there is no production of semiconductors. Because there is no semiconductor chip production, so the new cars are not getting produced. So that took me aback. That means China has the potential to disrupt the global supply of the battery, electrical components and semiconductor chips because it has monopoly over the rare earth metals. So we must not be dependent upon one particular country for that. And hydrogen fuel cells are really going to benefit us in this particular manner, that the hydrogen fuel cells do not require the rare elements which are required for production of the batteries. So if we do not require the rare elements, then for hydrogen fuel cells, we are not dependent upon the China, because China has its monopoly over the rare earth elements. Not only that, hydrogen fuel cell is actually going to be agents of good economy. What is a good economy? A good economy is something that economically benefit India than rest of the world. That is known as the good economy. You see that today for our energy and transportation sector, we are importing 85% of the oil. All right, we are importing 85% of the oil and 53% of the natural gas. Suppose we go for taking the hydrogen fuel cell, we will not be required to import this much amount of oil and this much amount of gas. That means that we will be current account surplus. Right now we are having current account deficit. Our lot of foreign exchange reserves are spent for purchasing the oil and natural gas from the global market. But suppose if we are hydrogen based economy, we will be not dependent upon the global oil and natural gas. So that is going to make India a green economy, not only green economy, but a current account surplus economy, which is a distant dream for India as of now. Not only that, if we are hydrogen based economy, then my dear friends, we will be free from the volatility of the risks of the global developments. For example, oil producing organization for petroleum exporting countries, or organization of petroleum exporting countries, they have the monopoly about how much oil to be given to the global community. So they decide the global prices. Not only that, sometimes because of the hiccups in the global geopolitical issues, the prices of the petroleum and natural gas can go up and down very significantly, as we have seen recently in case of Russia-Ukraine war. ये थोड़ा सा बीजेपी को ये खत्म करने दो, ये वाला जो इलेक्शन है, बीजेपी नहीं, इंडिया में ये इलेक्शन खत्म होने दो उत्तर प्रदेश के, और फिर देखो क्या प्राइसेस ऊपर जाते हैं. आज ही अखबार में आया हुआ है दैट 12 rupee per liter price of petrol and diesel must be increased to even reach the break even for the companies. All right, petroleum companies, they are waiting for the 10th March election to get over, and फिर देखो कैसे prices ऊपर जाते हैं. ठीक है ना? So dependence on hydrogen will help us protect our interests from global geopolitical issues and monopoly over the oil and natural gas by some particular organization. So this is the next importance of hydrogen national mission on hydrogen. Are the significance of national hydrogen mission clear to all? Very, very important for your mains as well as prelims point of view. Okay. Now the question that comes up is, what is hydrogen fuel cell and how does hydrogen fuel cell work? All right. So hydrogen fuel cell is so let me show you the diagram, and through the diagram I'll try to explain you what is a hydrogen fuel cell. So hydrogen fuel cell is a conventional cell which has two electrodes. One of the electrode is anode and one of the electrode is cathode. Anode is negative electrode and cathode is positive electrode, right? या उल्टा है? Yeah, so anode is negative and cathode is positive electrode. Now there's a inlet. From the inlet you send in the hydrogen. There's inlet towards the cathode where you send in air which has O2. Now the electrode which is negative in charge, this electrode is coated with a catalyst such that when the hydrogen gas come in contact with this electrode, this hydrogen gas breaks into one electron, free electron and one proton. All right, so हाइड्रोजन से आप उसका इलेक्ट्रॉन छीन लेते हो और उसको एक फ्री इलेक्ट्रॉन में कन्वर्ट कर देते हो और हाइड्रोजन क्या बन जाता है? H+, which is the proton. Now the electron is made to move through the circuit towards the anode, towards the cathode, whereas the proton, it moves towards the cathode through the electrolyte solution with a permeable membrane for proton. You are only allowing the proton or H+ to pass through and nothing else. So what is happening? Hydrogen came, it break down into electron and H+. H+ will move towards the cathode through the solution and electron will move through the circuit. Now at the cathode, oxygen is coming. Now oxygen at the cathode mixes with the H+ such that it gives out H2O, right? It gives out H2O. And this is how this fuel cell works. ये जो इलेक्ट्रॉन सर्किट के थ्रू गया उसने एनर्जी प्रोवाइड कर दी. दिस इज द इलेक्ट्रिक करंट व्हिच हैज बीन जनरेटेड. इलेक्ट्रिक करंट इज नथिंग बट मूवमेंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन इन द सर्किट. सो by production of electron and proton at the anode, you make the proton move through the liquid towards cathode and make the electron move through the circuit towards the cathode such that the circuit is complete, electricity is generated, right? This structure is the hydrogen fuel cell. So you are using hydrogen. Now there are different ways to produce hydrogen. If you can produce hydrogen which is resulting into zero carbon dioxide emission, that hydrogen will be known as green hydrogen. So if you use green hydrogen to produce energy, that energy will be renewable energy. Is it clear? Is the functioning of hydrogen fuel cell clear to all? ठीक है, you will be getting this PDF. उसमें words में explain कर रखा है, एक बार read कर लेना. Everything will set in place. Let us now move ahead. Let us now talk about what are the different types of hydrogen. There are different types of hydrogen. Rather, there are 5 shades of hydrogen. The 5 shades of hydrogen are green, blue, turquoise, green, gray, and brown. What is green hydrogen? You know that hydrogen is produced by electrolysis of water. When you break down the water, it gives you hydrogen and oxygen. Electrolysis of water is going to produce hydrogen, and for electrolysis you need electricity. Now what electricity you use, that is going to determine what color of hydrogen will be there. If you are using renewable energy for electrolysis, that energy has not caused any carbon dioxide emission. So the hydrogen which is produced by the electrolysis of the using renewable energy, this hydrogen involves zero carbon dioxide emission, and this kind of hydrogen is known as green hydrogen. What is blue hydrogen? Blue hydrogen is the hydrogen in which you use natural gas based energy production for electrolysis, such that whatever carbon dioxide that has been emitted from the natural gas, you capture it and store it somewhere. All right, you are capturing all the carbon dioxide which has been emitted in the production of this hydrogen. You are not letting it to go out of in the environment. In this, there is no carbon dioxide production. In this, carbon dioxide production is there, but what you are doing, you are capturing it and storing it. Now suppose you do not capture it and store it and let it emit to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is known as gray hydrogen. In gray hydrogen, you use electrolysis out of the natural gas produced electricity, such that you are not eliminating the carbon dioxide from the environment which has been produced during the course of production of hydrogen. This hydrogen is known as gray hydrogen. All right, when you use coal based energy for electrolysis of water to produce hydrogen, this hydrogen is known as brown hydrogen. So brown hydrogen is hydrogen produced from electricity produced by coal, and coal is the one of the biggest polluting substance. So this hydrogen is very polluting hydrogen. This hydrogen is second highly polluting hydrogen, because here natural gas is being used for production of energy which will be used in electrolysis of water. Now in the turquoise hydrogen, you are producing hydrogen using the natural gas, but here you are producing it using the technique known as pyrolysis. In pyrolysis, you do not provide oxygen. You use natural gas. Natural gas is combination of methane, ethane, butane, and then you heat ethane, methane and butane in absence of oxygen, such that methane and hydrogen is produced along with solid carbon dioxide. You take away the solid carbon dioxide, you take the hydrogen and you leave the methane. This hydrogen is turquoise hydrogen. Natural gas, which is a combination of methane, ethane, butane and some more gases, you heat that in absence of oxygen. When you heat that in absence of oxygen, solid carbon dioxide is emitted, or solid carbon is emitted along with hydrogen and methane. You separate hydrogen, use that hydrogen, that is turquoise hydrogen. So this is the different types of hydrogens. Out of that, green hydrogen is the cleanest, because there is zero carbon dioxide that is emitted for production of green hydrogen, as well as for, you can say, production of hydrogen, the carbon dioxide is zero, and from this whatever use you are going to do, even that is going to result into zero carbon dioxide. Yes, Nandini, methane is also harmful, because methane has a global warming potential. Yes, even methane is harmful, no doubt about that. All right, methane is a global warming causing gas. Yes. All right, let's go ahead. Now this National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1, it is aiming for production of green hydrogen as well as green ammonia. Ab baat aati hai, what is green ammonia? Green ammonia is the ammonia which is manufactured from green hydrogen. You use water, you carry the electrolysis of this water using renewable energy. So the hydrogen is produced. The hydrogen which is produced by electrolysis of water using renewable energy, what is this hydrogen? Green hydrogen. When you use this green hydrogen with nitrogen which is produced using renewable energy from the air, you use renewable energy from the air to separate nitrogen, you use renewable energy to electrolyze the water and produce green hydrogen. That means you are using green hydrogen and green nitrogen. Then you pass it through a process which we studied in high school chemistry, which is known as the Haber-Bosch process. This Haber-Bosch process is going to secrete ammonia, and this ammonia, my dear friend, is the green ammonia. This green ammonia which is manufactured, ये बहुत important prelims का question है. Haber-Bosch process is used in production of which of the following compounds? And trust me, It is a very potential question that can be there in the 2022 prelims because of the National Hydrogen Mission. So Haber-Bosch process is the process of production of ammonia, and if that ammonia which is produced from green hydrogen, green nitrogen, the ammonia is known as green ammonia. So you can use this green ammonia for various uses. For example, you can use it for the existing uses such as fertilizer production, industrial production. You can also use this green ammonia for the new potential uses such as marine fuel, power generation, energy storage, etc. All right, so these are the different uses, and this ammonia is known as green ammonia. So under the National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1, the government has given out certain lucrative incentives for usage of green hydrogen and green ammonia. So now what we have to do, we have to look into what is there that the government has given out for the you can say promotion of green hydrogen, green ammonia. So let's look into green hydrogen and green ammonia को promote करने के लिए what are the different highlights that are there in the National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1. So what the government has done is that because for production of green hydrogen, green ammonia, you are using renewable energy. So now the government has given the producers of green hydrogen, green ammonia a liberty to choose from. Ki they can use the renewable energy either from some producer of renewable energy, or you can set up your own renewable energy production stations. So the first benefit that the government has done is that government has allowed the producers of green hydrogen, green ammonia to set up their own renewable energy capacities. They can go for production of their own capacities, and they need not take energy from any of the suppliers. All right. Second, that the government has done, suppose you produced 1000 kilowatts of energy in your renewable energy generator, and you have consumed 700 kilowatt of that energy for production of green hydrogen and green ammonia. That means 300 kilowatt of energy is still left with you, which you did not consume. So the government said that you can supply the additional renewable energy which you did not consume for production of green hydrogen, green ammonia to the distribution companies in the country for a period of 30 days, such that within those 30 days, any day if you require 300 kilowatt of energy extra, you can take back your 300 kilowatt of energy. But this is valid only for 30 days. If you didn't require that 300 kilowatt of energy in the 30 days, then the 31st day, forget about your 300 kilowatt of energy. So the government is asking the producer of green hydrogen and green ammonia that you can also be the supplier of the renewable energy in case you produce more renewable energy than required. Is it clear, everyone? Right? Now, suppose you do not produce your own renewable energy for production of green ammonia and green hydrogen. So the government has said that in such a scenario, you can take the energy, renewable energy, from the renewable energy distributors in the state, and because you are producing green hydrogen and green ammonia, you will be provided that renewable power at very concessional prices. Apart from that, if you are setting up your green hydrogen and green ammonia plant in Punjab, and your producer of electricity, renewable electricity, is in Haryana, then if you take the electricity from Haryana and use it in Punjab, you are not supposed to pay interstate transmission charges for 25 years. You can set up the green ammonia and green hydrogen plant in one part of the country and take renewable energy from some other part of the country. That is acceptable. You don't have to pay the transmission charges for interstate transmission of energy. And this is there for 25 years. And next, the priority grid access must be given to the producers of green hydrogen and green ammonia. If there is a green hydrogen, green ammonia plant coming up somewhere, and if it demands renewable energy, then apart from all other sectors, you must give priority to the person who is using renewable energy in green hydrogen and green ammonia production. And lastly, if you are producing green ammonia, then the government is going to help you find bunkers near the ports to export your green ammonia and earn valuable foreign exchange reserves. All right. So you will be provided near the port bunkers by the government for storing the green ammonia so that you can even export it. So the government is also giving export promotion for the green ammonia that you produce. Is this clear to all? All right. So these were the important aspects of the National Hydrogen Mission Policy Part 1 highlights. All right. अब जो topic है वो है non-fungible token, but we are not going to take up the non-fungible token. I will include this topic in next week's class. All right. So next week we will begin our class on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. with the non-fungible token. But before we meet on Saturday next week at 2:30 p.m. on Monday, you are going to have Piyush sir for the current affairs of all the polity and governance issues that took place in this particular week. On Tuesday, Anurag sir will be there with the economic current affairs. On Wednesday, Madhusudan Reddy sir is going to be there for the current affairs related to geography, environment and science and tech. On Thursday, Snigdha ma'am will be there with international relations and all the historical events again in news today. And on Friday, Drishti ma'am will be there with social issues and internal security topics. And on Saturday, you will find me again here at 2:30 p.m. discussing all these topics. Is it clear to all? Right? So non-fungible token, I'm postponing it to the next session. नहीं दीपक, सहना पड़ेगा अब थोड़ा सा. ठीक है, you will get the you will get this. हाँ ठीक है आकाश, ठीक है. All right, you will get this PDF shortly. I'll think about that. ठीक है. All right. Okay everyone. Okay, that's all from today's class. See you next week. This PDF will be there on the Telegram channel. All right, I'll make sure that this PDF comes on the Telegram channel. Okay, chaliye, that's all from this class. See you next week. But before that, find yourself a place in the YouTube session 2:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. That's all. Bye everyone. Take care.